Hey Syndicate members, Akil here. Actually, hey everyone, Akil Stokes here, TradingPower.com. As I'm probably going to release this just to the world, but wanted to take a quick look through about 6 pairs that are on my radar. It's been a pretty slow week. There have been some there's been some setups available to take, but nothing really quality until today. So we'll start off with Euro Yen 4 hour, and what I'm looking for is a bat pattern here. And I'm gonna run through this quick, so I'm not gonna take the normal time to go through all the fibs and I'll do it. Whatever. Well, let's take our X to A right here. You see our X to A comes up. Our B comes very close, at least on my data, very close to a 618 retracement, but not quite. And for you guys that have been following me for a while, that know me very well, know that if I don't get that exactly hit, then it's not a 618. So therefore, I'm looking for a bat pattern on here. So I'm going to bring in my 886, which gives me something like this. Gives me a potential X to A to B coming to our 50% because we just hit above the 618. My B to C right here, which I need another 50% minimum for my requirement. And then our CD completion down here at 119.54. And Jason brought this up in this week's Forex market preview. If we go out to the daily chart on Euro Yen, you'll see that we're at a beautiful spot, kind of what should be a pretty good stand for the euro if this is going to continue to go up. So we'll see, but obviously stops need to be below X, so stops need to be below this. Go back down to the 4. Stops need to be below this 1870s level, even below 1850s. Next up, I'm going to go to pound. Let's go to pound yen. There's actually 2 bat patterns here on pound yen. If I could bring it in, we're actually long from the live room, an aggressive C as well. I think we're up about 50 pips, up about 40 pips. So, but there's two patterns here. Let me go and delete this this other pattern I completed. But there's a Gartley pattern here on pound yen. Now again, if I bring in my Fibonacci retracement from swing high to swing low, you'll see this time we do come into the 618, which puts me on alert for a potential Gartley pattern. So I have an X to A impulse leg, A to B coming back into my 618 retracement. My C leg actually comes into the 786, and this is why we took the aggressive C. Now we didn't just take it for any reason. We did some analysis and determined why this was a good spot. But it's we're about halfway to profit right now. We're looking at about 130 pip profits here in the live room from this aggressive C. Again, we're about 40 pips up right now. So you never know if we'll get it or not. But what we're doing is we're entering the market in advance, predicting that this pattern is going to complete. So we're entering at the C leg, predicting that this D leg is going to complete, and we're looking to ride this bad boy all the way up to our Gartley completion, and then sell it right back down. Now, if I go down to a 60-minute chart, we actually have another small bat pattern forming as well. Same thing, Fibonacci retracement, swing high to swing low. Again, you can see that 50% is hit, qualifying me for a valid bat pattern. If I bring in my 886, that'll give me my completion point, and we're looking at a bat pattern looking like this: X to A to B, B to C down here, C to D at 143.58. And I know I'm going to get a lot of questions today about, hey, what how do I know which pattern to choose? Do I take the smaller one? Do I take the bigger one? Well, at the end of the day, it depends on what your trading time frame is. If you're a 4-hour trader, you need to trade that 4-hour pattern. If you're an hourly trader, you need to trade that hourly pattern. If you're both, well, in this case, you probably could didn't measure my stops. You may be able to get away with both. You may be able to trade this bat pattern completion, and your stops may be close enough where if it does rally against us, you may get stopped out before the Gartley completes. If not, then you'll have to make a choice. And if you visit my website, Syndicate members, you have this already. I did a nice article last year about what to do when you have multiple patterns. So either look back in the Syndicate archives if you can, or check out the Ratio Trading Mentor website, and I'll actually probably throw a link underneath this video for that particular article. So next is we'll save dollar yen for last because there's a lot going on there. Let's talk Aussie dollar. Syndicate members, you had this from last week. We have a beautiful cipher pattern that formed on here. Got involved up here, or completed up here at 104.94s. Again, this is a daily chart, 4 hours, so you want to front load your orders. I listened to Jason's private client group meeting yesterday, and there were a few traders, and in my live room as well, there's a few traders that didn't get filled, meaning they may have their orders a little bit higher. And one thing you want to remember is you should be front loading these orders by at least the spread. And some rules of thumb I have: if I'm on 60-minute and down, I always put my orders 2 pips ahead of where they should be. So if this is going to complete at 104.94, I set mine down at 104.92. Once I get 4 hour, I start doing 5 pips. So 104.89. If I get up to daily, I'm going to be about 10 pips ahead of it. Because again, when you're looking at 30 pip targets here, let's see where target one's at. Yeah, when you're looking at almost 150 pip targets here, is 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 missing out by 10 pips? Is it really worth it? Yeah, I mean that's a question I can't answer for you, but in my opinion, no. I'd much rather be safe and get in the trade. If that means being a little bit early, as long as it meets my rules, of course, then I'm fine with that. But syndicate members, you should have had this on your radar for a few weeks, and well, now we're involved, and hopefully this thing can roll over in our favor. Next, I want to talk about pound Aussie, not pound Swiss, since we're on the topic of the syndicate. Pound Swiss. Here's another one I gave out to you guys 2 weeks ago, and it's important you leave these. When I do these drawings or when you do your analysis, leave it up on the chart. It's really easy, especially if you're following a lot of pairs. It's really easy just to forget about these. So leave the drawings up. If you're trading daily or 4 hour, you can leave these limit orders up for days. Leave these orders up and make sure you do your analysis each day so you don't miss these moves and be like, oh man, I remember Akil talking about that last week and just forgot to put orders in. But pound Swiss has filled this bat pattern right now. We've just nipped up at 144.70. Again, you probably should have front loaded this a little bit, about 44.65, 44.60, somewhere around there. But we are completed. Stops need to be above X, and normal targets 382, 618, the same old stuff. In fact, you may want to. In fact, I wouldn't be mad if you tried to shoot for extended targets on this one either. But that's up to you. Pound. Let's go pound Aussie. If I can remember what I'm looking at on pound Aussie. Pound Aussie, we have a potential cipher pattern. If we go down to our 60-minute chart, that's what it was. And I know I'm running a little long with this video, so I'll make it real quick. You can measure out the dimensions yourself, but if I take my final one, my X to C, bring my 786 in, we're looking at X to A to B coming back up, hitting my 382, B to C hitting my 127 extension, and we're looking for a cipher pattern completion about 45.76. So about 40 pips so up from where we're at right now. As always, stops 10 pips above X, target 1s and target 2s, bringing your Fibonacci retracements for that, 382 and 618. Lastly, let's look at dollar yen, as there's a lot going on dollar yen. Hopefully I can remember it all. Let me actually go to one of my charts. All right, well, there's a cipher pattern here on dollar yen as well. If I delete this and let's go down to you can see it right here. Potential cipher pattern here on dollar yen as well. Again, we're looking at very similar to pound Aussie. X to A to B up here, B to C coming down to my 127, and looking for a CD completion probably up around 95.60s. Let me just bring my 786 in to make sure. Look at that, right on point, 95.60s. Now, if we dig a little deeper into it, we'll also see that there's we could have a bigger bat pattern as well. I'm gonna really wait till we get more into it. We could be looking at a bat, looking at X to A to B, B to C, C to D down there. But if we go down to our 60-minute chart, we have a smaller pattern as well. Now it's a simple one, just an ABCD pattern. There may be a Gartley to some in here. I didn't get my requirements on the second retracement. Again, I require a 618 on my second Gartley retracement. Didn't get that, so not gonna be a Gartley pattern I'm looking for. But if we go back to the basics, go back to one of the first patterns we learned, and bring in a simple ABCD. Look at this. We're gonna have an ABCD completion really low in this zone down here, right at this wick. And if I bring in my other chart, you'll see that's going to come in right at a DSR level, basically, right at the bottom of this DSR level. And what does that mean? Well, really low risk reward. We can have stops right underneath this DSR level. Maybe right around 93.30 something, 93.35. Stops right here. Entering an ABCD right there, looking at a risk of this much. And if we bring in our Fibonacci retracement from A to D, even if you're shooting for 382 for your first target, look at that. You're easily getting a 1, 2 to 1. All right, long video. Let me get this out to you guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Syndicate members, I'll see you next week, hopefully when the market's liven up some. And if you're not in the syndicate, I mean, this is a little taste at what you get. Usually it's more focused. I'll focus on maybe 1 or 2 pairs. And go into a little more in-depth analysis about it. Today, just want to run through some charts and get a lot out to you since it's the end of the week. But if you haven't joined, what are you waiting for? It's $20 a month. You need to get on that because you're missing out. Trust me, you're missing out. So, all right, traders, remember this: plan your trade, trade your plan. Appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to me, and I'll see you next week.